Hello, welcome along to the Rangers Rabble. Breaking news. Well, I don't really know if it's so much breaking news because I think everybody in their dug knew it was going to happen. But yes, Rangers have signed John Souttar from Hearts on so far a pre-contract, unless of course a fee can be negotiated. Hello, I'm Martin, and tonight I'm joined by Brian, Wilf, and Ross. Ross, my friend, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm brilliant, mate. I've been watching your new podcast, mate, the Brother podcast. It's brilliant. How are you enjoying it?
It's been good for me. It's been good for me to start talking again, right? I got some good guests lined up, Martin. I think a couple of the boys for the Rabble I've spoke to are maybe going to come on and have a wee talk about their mental health and stuff. And every other podcast I speak to keeps telling everybody that the Rabble's the best Rangers pod going. So it's all about that, mate. It's all about plugging the Rabble, to be honest. It's not really about mental health. It's about getting you guys more popular.
Just very, very quickly before we start, Ross, I know you've just kind of quickly mentioned it, but for anybody watching who doesn't know about it yet, do you want to just tell people exactly what it's about and why you started it?
Obviously, an addict, as you would call it. I've struggled with mental health since I got bullied at school when I was a wee guy. And as such, over the Christmas period, I was a wee bit down myself. And when I spoke to other people, I'd been told about NHS waiting lists. And one guy had phoned up the crisis centre. A friend of my girlfriend phoned up the crisis centre to say he was suicidal. And they asked him, has he tried going for a hot bath because his feelings usually pass? So it kind of came to my attention. I've spoke to you about it before. I thought about it for a while. It's something that I'm passionate about, obviously going through it myself, and I just decided I was going to start a podcast. So I came up with a motto last night. It's real people telling their real stories, giving you their real solution, and hopefully giving people real hope that there is. You don't have to sit for 6 months in these thoughts. There's support groups and charities and tasks, and get a couple of guys on that are into the hill walking and stuff, take groups, do the cold water exposure. And you know what? Eventually, if we're getting off our following, I would like to start bringing guests on live, maybe once or twice a month, where the audience could ask questions or bring in comments and stuff. So I've got good plans for it, Martin. I'm just hoping that the support's been unbelievable so far after 2 episodes. And I'm hoping that, obviously, as I get more used to it, I'll become a pro interviewer like yourself. Still find myself stuttering and stammering a wee bit, but I'm learning and I'll get there, I'm sure. But thanks for giving me a wee bit of time to say that. It was good.
No,
I wasn't expecting putting me in the spot there.
Anybody's a better interviewer than me, trust me. Right, no, I've seen the first 2 episodes. It's brilliant. Anybody watching the other Brother podcast, go check it out. Honestly, I'm not just saying that because Ross is here. It really, really is good. Right, and very quickly before we start, everybody knows I say this every week. The last time I checked, we were 3 away from 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit the like button as well. It really does help us out. You can also join as a member, and of course, you can join us on Patreon as well. But let's get to why we're here, Brian. And that is, of course, that Rangers finally announced that we have signed John Souttar so far on a pre-contract. What's your thoughts?
Thoughts are he's a young, well, I wouldn't say he's
25.
young, but he's a 25-year-old centre half from Scotland. And of course, I think the nationality problem is creeping in at Rangers because you've got to have so many Scottish-based players playing for Rangers in Europe.
8.
So
It's 8. It's 8.
So that obviously helps towards it. And well, if you watch the other show on Patreon, the Best of the Rest, the guys rave about this guy. He's obviously, I would like to think he's past his injury crisis. He's had a lot of injury problems in the past, but the guys reassure us that he's well past it, and he plays. Well, I think he's played pretty much every game this season for Hearts. So it's a positive signing, and yeah, great, really good.
Positive signing, Wolf. Of course, the questions are going to be asked, and you never know with a new signing until obviously they come in, they give them time to bed in and stuff like that. But for yourself, are you happy, and is he good enough for Rangers for the first team?
I don't think he's good enough to walk into the first team as it is just now. I mean, if we managed to come to an agreement with Hearts and sign him tomorrow, for example, I don't think he would start on Tuesday, because he wouldn't get in ahead. He wouldn't get in ahead of Conor Goldson, who I know we're going to talk about, and it wouldn't be fair on Calvin Bassey for him to overtake Calvin Bassey. But squad wise, yeah, he's a very serviceable Scottish centre half. As I said on the Aberdeen preview pod earlier today, which I'm sure you've watched because you must have edited it.
Not yet.
All right, okay. I'll be exclusive for you then. My concern is I think he's quite a good siege defender. So when he's busy, he looks the part. The problem that we've got is that our centre halves aren't always busy, particularly at Ibrox against the jobbers, if you like, with the greatest of respect to St Johnstone. Sorry, Ross. And St Mirren and St Mirren and Motherwell and all these teams, you know, when he instead of being busy all the time, he's maybe only going to be busy in little patches, and it's whether his concentration will be there. I'm sure it will be, because he's 25. He's not a kid. He's a seasoned professional. He's played for Scotland. But that would be my only concern. I think in games where he'd be busy, I don't think he'd let us down because he's really good in the air, and he's really good at both ends. He scores goals as well. I mean, he scored a 99th minute winner in the first game of the season against another team from the other side of Glasgow, which my missus was delighted about. So yeah, I think he's a decent enough signing, and hopefully we can get the deal tied up in this window. Because if you look at social media, there is absolutely no way he can ever play for Hearts again.
Yeah.
Because their support are just ripping him to bits. They were ripping him to bits before the deal was announced because of where he's gone. Just the typical parochial Scottish football fans. Nobody's allowed to sign for Rangers. You know what I mean? So if he stays at Hearts, he's going to get dogs abuse from his own support. So he's now in the position he can go to the Hearts hierarchy and say, look, I can't stay under these conditions. You need to sell me to Rangers, which means they'll sell him for a lot less than we're wanting for him, which works for us, hopefully.
Do you know, maybe I'm in the minority, Ross, but I mean, I've had the benefit, right, as Brian mentioned, we do a show on Patreon and the membership, YouTube membership, best of the rest. So I've watched quite a lot of other SPFL games this season. For me, and I know it's hard to judge because he's coming to a bigger team with more responsibilities, but I think he's a cracking defender.
Said it on Twitter the day, mate. For me, he's a ready-made replacement for Goldson. That's how highly I rate him, having watched the same as you. Obviously, I watch Sports Scene every week because Xander's on it and Rangers are on it and Michael Stewart's on it, Greeting and whatever else. So I quite like to watch that. And since we were first linked with him, I've watched him closely. Really good on the ball for me, which I think is going to be really beneficial. What you're talking about, Wilf, maybe when we're no under siege, but he looks like the type of player like Goldson who'll be quite happy to play on the halfway line and take part in moves. I don't know whether he's got that. I don't know whether he's got the big switch in him right enough that Goldson has got. But
I'm sorry, Ross, to cut in. I believe he has. My missus says he's fairly adept at the old 40-yard pass across the park. So she's seen him a lot more than I have. So
I've not seen any of that. But see, for me, like people are saying the day Goldson, he's not as good as Goldson in the air. For me, every single ball that's came long diagonal this season, Golson's let bounce. I think this guy's going to come in. He's Wilf alluded to. He's an absolute brute in both boxes. He'll put his head in where he's going to get hurt, but at the other end, he's also a goal threat. On a free contract, gone for Hearts wages, Rangers wages, he's not going to be on 20-30 grand a week, is he?
No.
For me, it's an absolute no-brainer to sign the boy.
I know.
At the end of the day, if it went the other way, he went to the other side, would we be happy? No, we wouldn't.
No, listen, it's a fair point. I honestly think he's a cracking big defender. And Brian, two questions, right? I'll take one to you. Firstly, Brian, I think we've been linked with Souttar for a while, right? So do you think this has got anything to do with Gio? Do you think this is a Gio signing or do you think it's a Ross Wilson signing?
That's a fair question. He's obviously been on Rangers' radar for a while, and I would dare say that Rangers have persuaded Gio to plump for him. I wouldn't say he is a Gio signing because, God, Gio's only been in the building since late November, early December. So I would generally say that we've had our eye on him for a while, and I think we've persuaded Gio to plump for him. That's just my general gut.
It's Ross Wilson's whole job spec not to look at the squad, identify places that may need replaced, and come up with a shortlist that he then hands to the manager and says these people. And Van Bronckhorst's obviously watched a bit of him and went, we'll take him on a free. It's a kind of no risk. I think that's, and I can't believe how good for Rangers Ross Wilson's been when you've seen how seamless the Gio transfer was, and then now we're coming in. We've got the boy from America, who's obviously none of us have seen him play, but he's obviously been identified and scouted early on, and we've got that deal done quickly. And again, here we've went and got a guy who, by all accounts, seems to have had offers in the English Championship, and Ross Wilson's obviously been in there quick and got the deal tied up before he could disappear into the English Championship, as which happened with some clubs.
Well, I'm hearing, right, and obviously you don't believe everything you hear, but for what I hear, he had knocked back far bigger offers, obviously contract-wise, from down south. The minute he knew that Rangers were interested, the only place he wanted to go was Rangers. So that's got to be a massive benefit. You've got somebody coming to Rangers, not just for the money, but they're coming because they want to be at the club.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, and I mean the very fact he was seriously linked with, I think it was at Blackburn and Sheffield United, or Blackburn and Stoke. It was Blackburn and somebody. I'm sure it was either Sheffield United or Stoke. If they were serious, they'd offered them more money than we could pay them, because English Championship has got loads of money sloshing about in it. So, and the fact that the deal's been tied up so quickly from the sort of the official announcement that we were kind of going for, if you like, when the word came out, it's been tied up really, really quickly. I believe there is a family connection. I believe his mother's a season ticket holder at Ibrox, so that might have quite a lot to do with it.
That's his brother there.
That's the brother.
Is that Harry, is it? Right, well, there you go. See, there's Harry, right, okay. Who's currently at Stoke City and injured, but anyway.
But he's quite happy.
Yeah, so I believe a couple of their uncles won't be very happy, but from a conversation I had with somebody on Twitter the other night who knows them from the village that they live in, his mum will be delighted, but his two uncles will not be very happy. But that's up to him to sort out, But yeah, I mean, as I say, I think it's a terrific signing going forward, and hopefully we can get him before the window closes, and for a lot less than Hearts are looking for, because they won't get anything like they're looking for.
Oh yeah, no chance.
That's the thing, Brian. That is the big thing. It's, do we get him in before the end of January, or is there a possibility? Look, you have mentioned the crowd at Hearts maybe getting on his back or whatever, but he is one of Hearts, if not Hearts' most important player.
Absolutely is.
Hearts, I would imagine Robbie Nielsen would want to keep him till the end of the season.
Well, I would dare say Robbie Nielsen would want to keep him, but at the end of the day, as Wolf said earlier today, he's already getting pelters on Twitter and goodness knows where else. He's on 3,000 roughly a week, give or take, so that equates to about 20,000 till the end of the season. So I don't think Rangers are out with their... I don't think it's out with the realms of Rangers offering 300,000 and them accepting it before the end of the season. I mean, for them to ask for $1 million is just absolutely ridiculous as far as...
my question as the window closes to Hearts, and I've already posted to her indoors and was told to shut up because she's not very happy about me asking the question, was, right, only he's important to Hearts, but can Hearts as a football club afford to turn down a 6-figure offer for a guy that's leaving for nothing in 5 months' time?
No, I don't think so.
Is he that important to them? Is he £200,000-400,000 important to them? And if he's that important to the team, surely they need to get that money in now so they can try and replace him.
Correct.
They've got a good centre half in there already. I mean, Craig Halkett's a great centre half. I'd love to see him back at Rangers at some point. But I mean, he can't do it all on his own. So I mean, Hearts have gone big on the fact that their back line have all signed renewed contracts. They were going big on that this morning, I believe, and that's fine. But what happens when they get injured?
But
They've got nothing behind them.
you can't
You know
tell
what I
me
mean?
if Rangers offers Hearts between now and the end of January 300,000, they're going to turn that down. No way.
Well,
Well-
Hearts came out today, Ross, released a statement saying, look, John Souttar's still their player and he will be until the end of the season unless a significant bid is made. It's all speculation, of course it is, because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. How much do you think Hearts would settle for to release him?
I think Hearts will play. I think Hearts will bite their nose off to spite their face, mate. When you consider at this time,
Yep.
at this time when it came to Glenn Kamara, 300 grand. We're talking 6 Glenn Kamaras here. So that's the kind of, if a player's got a contract and these people are, we're talking in Kamara dollars here, January Kamara dollars. That's what we're talking in here. For me, if he's, mate, I wouldn't offer Hearts much more than 100 grand for him. I don't think we need him this season. It would be good to get him in, but I wouldn't go just because I heard somebody on Radio Clyde earlier saying we're flush for cash now, so we just throw the money to get him.
No.
That's
I
not the
wouldn't
way
be for
Rangers
that.
work.
That's not the way it should work, mate.
No.
For me, he's good, but right now we've got Balogun, Hollander, Goldson. The new American boy can play centre half, I believe. You've got Leon King, who's just been recalled and signed a new contract and has been put into the first team squad. And you've also got Jack Simpson ambling about with Andy Fuff somewhere. So, but it's not as if we're blessed with centre half. It's not as if we're struggling for centre half. Sorry, we've got plenty. Aye. So
Big Hollander to come back as well at some point.
that's what I'm saying. Hollander's.
He's our best defender.
He's the best you've got, centre half. But again, I see people saying about Souttar being injury prone. Connor Golson was just back to a major heart operation when we took a chance on him, and look how that's turned out. So
Played every game.
Right. Ross's.
Sorry,
Ross's
Martin. Just to interject, the exact words that Hearts used, because I've got it in front of me. John is an important member of the first team squad and will remain so until the end of the season unless a significant and satisfactory offer is made during the January window. Significant's the word that they used, but what did I mean? I don't think. I mean, they were talking last week. They were talking about £1 million. Not a ghost that they're getting that. So what do they class as significant? You know what I mean?
Sorry.
it'll be. See if they sell him, it'll be. That's a statement they put out, and then they accept 200 grand, but it goes down as an undisclosed transfer fee.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And the
Right.
fans think it must have been significant, and Rangers are like, I could have bought 4 Glenn Kamaras for that. Fucking done.
Yep.
brilliant point made by Chris Stewart, by the way. For all we can talk about how important is it to the team, etc., etc. The fact that we're bringing him in for whatever Rangers decide to pay all at the end of the season for nothing, Brian. Souttar with a lengthy contract is easily worth 45 million. So if you look at it from that point of view, because we all seem to do now, it all seems to be about resale value, this and that. It's brilliant business by the club that way as well.
Well, of course it is. I mean, he's 25-year-old. If he has 2 or 3 good seasons with us, well, look what's happened to Patterson. Patterson played, I think, 20 games all in, and he's went away to Everton for 16 million. So everybody knows.
No. It's 2 million and $1 million every 50 games.
Of course it is. Sorry, but folk have got to realise that there is a stepping stone to the EPL, and we are a stepping stone to the EPL. Carly Willie, well, I thought it was 2 bottles of Iron Brew anyway. But we are a stepping stone to the EPL, and we don't like to hear it or say it, but that's the way it is. So if guys want to get the EPL, there's a good chance if you play for Rangers, you do well, an EPL team's going to look at you and think, well, we'll take a chance on you, and they don't have to spend the millions that they do if they sign somebody else from the EPL.
Well, I'm telling you, see when you see Chris Wood going to Newcastle for 25 million, it makes you wonder.
Just
it
don't
really,
even start
makes
me.
you wonder.
But the crazy thing is that was his buyout clause.
It's mental.
Aye, I know.
Ridiculous.
25 million. Well, give them 100k and Simpson. I keep seeing this.
I don't think they take Simpson. Mate. I don't think they would take Simpson.
They said they would take 50 grand if you took him out.
No, do you know what? I actually feel sorry for Jack Simpson because he hasn't had much of a chance and he just gets battered from pillar to post. But we shall wait and see. Wilf, Ross mentioned it, and I'll come to Ollie's on this, but I'll start with you, Wilf. The rumour mill will now be flying, especially if we pay Hearts whatever it is that they require and bring John Souttar in, that Connor Goldson will no longer be with Rangers come the end of January. This isn't going to end, is it?
It's only going to end if the 1st of February comes and Connor Goldson's still a Rangers player.
Correct.
And I fully expect the 1st of February to come and Connor Goldson still be a Rangers player.
Correct.
He's made no secret of the fact that he's not signed a contract. That's not a secret that he's not signed a new contract. And if he goes at the end of the season and we've won the league again, and hopefully the Scottish Cup with it, he goes with my blessing. Losing Connor Goldson for nothing in the summer is worth more to us than any transfer fee we can get for him now, unless we can get 10, 12 million, which we won't get for a guy 30 years old with 6 months left in his contract. So even if somebody came in and said, look, there's 2 or 3 million for Connor Goldson, we want him now. Having him there to just as that little assurance that we do close this league out, that's 30 or 40 million, that's worth theirs. So no, he stays. My opinion, he stays.
He probably does stay, Ross, but actually taking it back to the point that you made, we've got so many centre-backs now that if Souttar does come in January, you can understand why folk would maybe put 2 and 2 together and get 4 or 5, depending on obviously what actually happens. But with all these centre-backs coming in, if we pay the money for Souttar, there's every possibility that there might be 1 or 2 leaving.
Who's in for Goldson? You've heard there's League One Championship teams, in for Souttar. I've not heard of anybody being linked with a pre-contract for Connor Goldson, and I think that tells you a lot about the boy Souttar and how good he's been this season. When there's Championship clubs putting offers in for him, Goldson, you don't know what's going on in the background, Martin, but clubs were very vocal about trying to get Souttar, and then obviously we went in and snatched him. For me, I'm the same as well. If Connor Goldson stays, if you've got Souttar, Goldson and Helander, they're your 3 main centre halves. So if Helander gets injured, it drops to Souttar and Goldson for me. Bassey goes back to left back to challenge Borna. And you've also then got Jack Simpson, Leon King. I think it's very, very telling that the American boy got number 19 and Itten's been recalled for loan and Katic is still in Croatia or wherever he is. He's gone.
Yeah.
So next season you're looking at having no Simpson, no Katic, no Goldson. So you've then got, is Balogun signed a new contract? I've not heard anything about that.
No.
So next season you could be looking at Souttar and Helander being your only 2 experienced, unless you get the boy Doheke from Belgium. Is it Belgium he's in?
No, Vitesse in Holland. That was going to be my next point, by the way, and Brian, I'll just take this to you. Obviously, people are asking now that we've signed Souttar, that they hope, excuse me, that we don't, as Ross just disappears, that we don't take away our interest, for lack of a better term, in Doki. I don't know. It seems to have went very quiet.
It's went quiet, but there's lots of transfers went quiet, and then all of a sudden they've popped out the blue and they've signed. I mean, there is the connection with obviously Gio being a Dutchman. Doki's a Dutchman. He's young. He wants to obviously get to the high end of the football scale, which obviously is the EPL. Could he sign? Yes. It all depends on what Gio wants. Does Gio fancy him? Does Gio like him? This is the thing now. What's Gio's idea of a centre back now? Does he want out and out defending centre halves, or does he want one defending centre half with one ball playing? It just depends what Gio wants, and I would say what Gio wants, Gio will get just now, because he's just basically been given the manager's job.
Yeah, but well, it was a big transfer rumour. I think a lot of people were getting excited about the possibility of Doki. You know, big guy, technically very good with the ball, strong. Do you see us now maybe looking at other areas of the team rather than the centre backs, or do you still see it as an option?
I think Doki's still an option, but I mean, I think he's out of contract in the summer as well, so there's absolutely no rush to sign him. Unless he's going to go somewhere else. If he said to Rangers, look, I'm going to come to you, there's no rush to sign him because you can sign him on a pre-contract any time between now and the end of the season.
Correct.
So, and if we do sign him, we're not going to be bringing him in before the end of the season because Vitesse will want serious money for him. And we don't. As long as Goldson doesn't leave, we don't need Doki just now. Goldson leaves, Doki comes in as his replacement. I believe. Yeah. I don't know anything about the guy from what I've read about him. So there's no rush to tie him up because there could be an agreement there between his people and like Ross Wilson and Gio that he's coming, but there's no rush to do the contract because he's out. He's a free agent at the end of the season, so we get him in anyway. So I think the more pressing thing just now is getting somebody for that right hand side.
I don't know, Ross. I don't like leaving things to pre-contracts and stuff like that. I know just signed Souttar on a pre-contract, but I'm talking about somebody like Doki who, is valued very highly. He's well known around Europe. All it takes is for a club with a lot more money to come in and offer him that contract and he goes out on him.
Yeah, if you've shook hands on a contract, that means absolutely nothing. Do you know what I mean? It means zero.
Sign on the dotted line.
When there's a chance, as you say, if Doki goes and has an excellent second half of the season and you've not got him signed up and a bigger club comes in.
Yeah. It might already be done.
Financial clout.
It could be.
Well, this is what I'm just saying.
I mean, the whole Souttar thing, right? The interest in the other clubs broke, and obviously it was obviously John Souttar's agent that's saying, look, there's other clubs interested. They put the news out because nothing comes out of Rangers. And I wouldn't think that because there's two or three other clubs mentioned, they're not all going to be talking about it. So it's obviously come from his people. To obviously speed the deal along. Same with the Goldson thing. Goldson might have something lined up, but he's just keeping it quiet because he doesn't want the grief. I mean, remember when we signed Ryan Jack from Aberdeen? Aberdeen told nobody because they knew the grief Ryan Jack would get, and they weren't letting them go at the end of the season. So they kept it under wraps, and they said, "Look, we'll tell people at the end of the season." But when Johnny H. Jazz signed a pre-contract with Celtic, they announced that because they knew he wouldn't get so much grief off the fans. So it depends. It depends on the player and what his agents do and doing and stuff like that. So I mean, for all we know, Goldson might have something lined up. He's just not telling anybody. Doki might be signed. He might be signed for it. I don't know. It could be anything. But I wouldn't be going looking to spend money on the guy just now. But getting him signed in a pre-contract would be handy, particularly if we know Goldson's definitely leaving.
Yeah. Sorry, Ross. You were saying obviously a handshake doesn't matter. Do you think we should? Do we need him? That's the question. Do we need Doki?
I think come the end of the season, if he's going to improve the squad, mate, 100%. I think that's that. At the end of the season, if you're talking about Goldson, you could potentially lose Katic, Simpson, Goldson, Balogun. You're not going to improve your squad at the end of the season. If you can get a European name in on a free transfer, you're going to take it. Especially in a position that's as important as centre back. If you can pick up we've done it with Boomsong, Celtic have done it with Van Dijk. If you can pick up a centre half who's a decent centre half, especially on a free, it's like buying a Rolex watch. You're going to make money on them eventually, plus you're going to get good performances out of them. But you've got to you put your name in the hat and take your chances, don't you? You could sign Doiki on a free the now, and then he goes out and 2 weeks before the end of the season ruptures his Achilles or ruptures his knee, and he's out. But you want to have that name on the paper for me to protect the fact that that's saying your asset.
Yeah, I agree. It would be very remiss, and Wolf, I know that shortly you have to go, and I promise this would only be 20 minutes, and as usual, we have rabbled on. But Brian, it would be very remiss of us not to mention Jermain Defoe. He has obviously left the club. I'm not going to lie, I'm gutted. He's away.
Yeah, I think I sent a message to the group chat. I was watching him on Sky Sports News because I think the transfer show was just starting with the usual two idiots that are on it anyway, but they had Jermain Defoe on, and honestly, he was so waxy lyrical about the club, the people there, the people that have worked there for 30 odd years. He's keeping in touch with everybody. See, when you see guys like Jermain Defoe saying that about a club like us, it's magic. It really is. It's just, it's brilliant when you see a goal scoring legend like him, playing in the EPL for God knows how long, like he did, score goals for us, and that goal he scored
Take a
against
massive,
Motherwell.
massive wage cut to come and play for us.
Aye, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that goal he scored against, I think it was Livy or Motherwell. Can't remember. Livy, I think.
Livy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not many people could have done that, I'll tell you right now. And all I'll say is thanks, Jermain. Brilliant.
Is it a surprise, Wolf, that he's left?
Nah, not at all. He's not been getting a lot of game time. I think he said himself he still wants to play for the rest of the season. Remains to be seen whether he does or not. I'd love to have been able to say Rangers were his last club before he retired, because it's been an absolute honour and a pleasure to have him at Rangers.
Yep.
I mean, somebody said to me yesterday when I tweeted about that every player should be honoured to play for Rangers, and that's 100% true. But not every player we've had we're honoured to have had. You know, I mean, as the years go by, when his punditry thing's taken off, and they put the wee name bar up at the bottom, Jermain Defoe, ex of, and Rangers are going to be in there. I'll feel the same pride of that as I did when I saw it when Ray Wilkins' name came up, and it said Ray Wilkins, ex Rangers, because these guys are superstars. These guys are fabulous players. I mean, Jermain Defoe, the statement he put out when he left, and some of the videos he's released since he left. I mean, I saw one yesterday that I hadn't seen before. From his first day when he signed, he just picked up at Ibrox and said to the security, "Can I go out and have a look?" Mm-hmm. And he got videoed walking out onto the pitch, just himself and whoever was shooting the video. And an absolute gentleman, a football superstar, an absolute football legend that it's been an absolute honour and a privilege to watch. And I just wish him all the best in what he does. If he carries on playing, he will score goals wherever he goes. If he becomes a coach, he'll be a success at that, because he's one of these guys that he'll be a success at whatever he does.
And it's just so nice that his only league winning was at us.
Well, he came to Rangers.
Never won
if you remember,
else.
Brian, if you remember, he came to Rangers and he put on his social media as a photo of him with Steven Gerrard walking off a pitch in England jerseys. Right, Gaffer, let's win the league. Let's win this trophy.
Yeah.
He came to win the trophy, and he won the trophy, and that's fabulous. I mean, when you think about it, right, that's two football legends, absolute football legends, right, of our lifetime, Steven Gerrard and Jermain Defoe. Between them, they've won 2 league titles, and they won it in the same place.
Correct.
They both won it at Rangers. You know what I mean? That fills me with pride that we did that for them, or they did it for us, whatever way you look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, but Jermain Defoe, nothing but good words to say about the man.
I mean, look, he's been doing a lot of media work recently, Ross, obviously. But he only had 4 months left on his contract. So I just wonder, obviously him and Gio must have been having conversations. Gio's obviously told him, look, you're not going to get much game time. I'm just a wee tiny bit surprised that we've let a goal scorer go. Because if you look at Defoe's record at Rangers, was it 1 and 2 he scored? And
a goal every 81 minutes.
And 9 times out of 10 he was coming off the bench. I know he wasn't going to get all the time in the world, but just to let somebody like that go when we're halfway through the season, I don't know. I think it's just because I'm gutted, but I think we should have tried at least to keep him.
What was he on wages this season?
I know.
15, 20 grand?
15. So say that 15 grand, see at the start of the season. I was surprised they got a new deal this year. I know he was part of the coaching staff and stuff. It's an absolute honour and a privilege to have him at Rangers. But for me, the 15, 20 grand a week he's been on this season could have been put towards a pre-contract in the summer, and he could have kind of shook hands and left after winning the league. I know he was doing his coaching badges and stuff, and Van Bronckhorst obviously said to him, "Look, mate, I've got Roy Mackay, who's my striking coach. I don't need you." But for me, if he's been on 15, 20 grand a week to be a striking coach, then the money could have been better spent elsewhere. That's just my opinion. And it's not me saying that the guy's robbed us of a wage or anything. He was offered a contract and he's put his heart and soul into it every time he's going to park. But looking at his age, looking at the way things were going, I maybe wouldn't have.
That's the goal.
Another
That's
year.
The goal.
Ross,
on his left foot. That goes on his left foot as well. It's not even on his good foot.
Thing is, Martin, as Ross says, it's the mark of the guy, right? You said yourself, he's got 4 months left on his deal, right? And he could just have sat in and, maybe got a wee game here or there. He wants to keep playing football, right? And he's obviously been told me. I believe he had a conversation with the manager and said, "Look, I want to play football. I can't guarantee you'll get a lot of game time." So he's gone. He's gone. He could just have sat tight 4 months, sat and picked up whatever he was on a week. But money's obviously not important to the guy. The guy's done a fabulous career at a great level. Money's not important to him. He obviously wants to play football. So more power to him for going. But
see, for a man of that age, could they really afford to go another 4 months without playing football?
Well, exactly.
Got a contract elsewhere. If a guy of 39, 40s went. How age is he? 38, 39?
He's 39.
Yeah,
39.
So a guy of 39 who's not played football for a season, where else is he going to get a contract? He's going to have to go now and get a short-term deal somewhere, bang in some goals in order to get another year next year. Do you know what I mean?
Right, just before we go, and Wolf, I'll take this to you because it's 12 minutes to 8 and I know you've got something on at 8 o'clock. Stewart Roberston came out obviously talking about the allocation for Old Firm games. I put a poll out on Twitter and the options were, look, keep it as it is, put it back to normal or something in between. Overwhelmingly, keep it at 801. I think you actually want to go a wee step further than that, don't you?
Yep, I suggested option 4, which is don't give them anything. I mean, it's as you know, I go everywhere. I mean, I've been to their midden more times than I care to remember. First time I went there was about 20,000 of us crammed in behind that Janefield Street goal, and it's now down to 800. I've been lucky enough to get tickets the times it has been, and if I never set foot in there again, it's too soon. But if Rangers get tickets, I want one of them. I'm selfish like that. I'll be honest with you. If I never have to go to their place again, I'll be absolutely over the moon. But if Rangers are taking tickets, I want one of them. So for me, home fans only, because they're all going on about the atmosphere. Ibrox has been absolutely rocking when they've only had 800 in the corner. It's been why would it be rocking any less with none of them there?
I think Ross's tweet earlier in the day summed it up though. We get shunted into a corner, and forgotten about, where they get plum seats right behind the goals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's the whole thing.
That's been my whole argument. This whole issue. They get plum seats right behind the goal with no restrictive views. Yet we're chucked in a corner as an afterthought, and
with about 80,000 stewards standing in front.
Aye, exactly.
It's the configurations of the stadiums, because even when we got 8,000, we were still stuck in the corner and coming out a little bit, whereas they get the whole Brumwell Road. Yeah. So they look up and all they do see their own support, whereas we look up, we've got to kind of glance towards the corner to see it. It's the way the grounds are. I think at Ibrox we should move the away section, and I don't know how it's logistically possible, but we should shove them up the club deck.
The layout of the stadium, Will.
I know, but we should put them into the top of the club deck at CD5 and CD6, because I ain't moving out to CD1, so put them at the Brumwell Road end of the club deck for me. Because if you go to Europe, you're punted to the highest point. I know it's impossible to do the way Ibrox is built. It is. It's impossible to do it, but that's where they should be. They should be at the highest point of the ground, just right out the road. Because see, the problem
for me, just very quickly, and then I'll bring in Ross. Sorry. See, for me, I don't like the fact that they would be above Rangers supporters, because exactly.
Just put a net there. Do what they do in Europe. Just put a net there.
Who's a net?
Well, she's some big thing that kicks him out the East End.
Ross, your thoughts on it? Picture the scene. You're playing at Parkhead, 93rd minute, nothing each. Game to win the league. Tav's going to hit the penalty. Do you think Tav wants to be looking at Celtic fans or Rangers fans? You want to be shooting into your own fans. You don't want to be getting put off. So if we get a penalty at Parkhead, no matter what half it's in, we are shooting into Celtic fans. If we get a penalty at Ibrox, there's a 50-50 chance. We're still going to be shooting into Celtic fans.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know through speaking to my brother, playing at Ibrox with the fans right behind you is intimidating. Why? Yeah, I was arguing with one of my mates last night on Twitter. Liverpool legends for years and years and decades have said shooting into the cock inspires them because you've got that rumptious support behind you. Going, man, why would we want to give Celtic that in our home? So there's a 75% chance Celtic are going to be shooting into their own fans and having that. So why would we disadvantage ourselves by giving them a full stand? And as Will says, see if you could stick them in a corner and we were stuck in a corner. 8,000 for me, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, we are making more money off season tickets now that we don't have to. We've got more season ticket holders and enough to pivot and give them the bare minimum. And as Will says, at the end of the day, if you never got any, it would be too many.
Martin, the whole thing for me, right, with Celtic fans, with Hearts fans, Motherwell fans, whoever it is, right. See, if we can sell the tickets to our own supporters, who are the lifeblood of our club, why should we give more than we have to visit and support?
No,
it's like when Hearts cut our allocation earlier in the season, right. I was pissed off about it, right, but they managed to sell it out. So fair play to them. Their own support stepped up. We'll go to Pittodrie on Tuesday. There'll be guys screaming for tickets, and the ground will be half empty.
I was about to
Right?
say, well,
See if they could fill it, and they said, right, the Rangers, there's 800 tickets. That's great because they filled it with Aberdeen fans. It'll be half empty, and they could have given us a whole south stand.
You know,
And we would fill it for them.
Well, if you know the
You know what I
Dick
mean?
Donald stand's going to be half empty, the south stand's going to be half empty, and so is the Merkland Road end.
Yeah, we're screaming for tickets. You know what I mean?
I
we're
watched
screaming for tickets,
St
exactly.
Johnson doing it.
See
I
that?
go to St Johnson and see that away fans,
Yep.
Yeah.
Rangers, Celtic, Hearts behind both goals. But
Yeah.
that's something that you're talking about. That's a financial decision. That's not a football
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
It's
Correct.
a financial decision that we're not going to have to fill. We can't fill these stands with local supporters. So rather than them sitting early, they can charge 27 quid a head and take 10,000 of us and give them. But they're giving you, I don't care what Indy says, they're giving us an advantage by having us behind Xander's goal every time we
But
play them.
Ross St Johnstone were honest about that. Was it a couple of seasons ago? The season before COVID, the chairman came out and said, "Look, we've tried everything. We've tried everything to get the local supporters in. They're not coming in. If Rangers and Celtic will take 7,000 tickets, we'll give them 7,000 tickets because it's money for the club. If the home support turn up, we'll not give them it. You know what I mean? It's economics.
There are St Johnson fans I've spoke to who would quite happily move season ticket holders for the far away stand into the main stand and give Rangers 3 stands for the sake of that. That's a player to them. We'll see all 2 games in a season. That's a player to St Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course we have to move certain season ticket holders, Brian, and other season ticket holders don't get to see 2 Old Firm games a season at Ibrox as well. So if it benefits our fans, then why would you want it any other way?
Well, this is it. As you say, if we did have it like it was before the Broomlow and Celtic, then that means, 5,000-6,000 Rangers fans don't get to see Rangers on a Old Firm day. So there is
At their own ground.
At their own ground, yeah. So it is a dilemma, but Rangers have went that way, and I'm fine with that. So that's it. I was happy with it either way, but I'm more happy with it with more of us in there than them.
Can I just say we are 1 subscriber away from 4,000?
Who's that going to be?
Oh,
who's it going to be?
I subscribe for the other brother.
Who's it going to be?
So if there's anybody watching who hasn't subscribed yet, please do subscribe and become our 4,000 subscriber. Please do like as well. It really does help support the podcast. And of course, as I always say to you, once it's finished, click back on the video, put a wee comment in. You know, Martin's crap, Martin's terrible, whatever it is, just put it in because comments help share the video as well. Guys, we're going to leave it there. It's 4 minutes to 8. I've not had my dinner, so I'm going to go and have my dinner. Thank you very much, Brian, for coming on. Ross.
No worries,
Wolf.
cheers.
Wolf, I know you've got another podcast. What podcast you going on to, Wolf?
Yep. Blue Heart 1872 starting in 4 minutes.
Starting in 4 minutes, there we go. I will just double check to see if anybody's took on the mantle of being there. 4,004.
Brilliant.
There we go.
Brilliant.
That's
Brilliant.
it. We've smashed it.
Who was it?
4,000
Who was it?
subscribers. Just, I don't know. It doesn't tell me that. Come on,
Anyway,
Brian.
guys, on that happy note, I really have to be someone else. So it's an absolute pleasure as always.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Speak to you later, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, Will. Yep, so that's 4,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to everybody. It was obviously meant to just be a wee quick breaking news pod about John Souttar signing, but there's always so much to talk about. Ross, mate, it was great to see you. Hopefully get you back on again soon.
Anytime, mate. Anytime.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching. So appreciated. Thank you so much for getting us over 4,000. Please do hit that like. Of course, sign up to the Patreon as well if you want to help support the podcast, or you can join on YouTube as a member as well. But we will see you again on Tuesday for live match reaction just after the Aberdeen game. Thank you, everybody, and good night.